but it's not actually blurry.
Okay.
Okay, man. How you been?
Oh man. Oh, great. How are you? Thank you for having me on the show. What do we call this?
Well,
Coast to coast with DP? Like, what do you
coast
call
to
it? Because all
in
the
in
West
a
Coast and the
way,
East Coast.
in a way, we're kind of coast to coast. I'm on the
Yeah,
East Coast.
coast
You're
to
on the West
coast.
Coast. We're like the perfect cross, New York and San Francisco.
Canada to Mexico. Canada to Mexico.
Yep. I mean, it's been good. What we for what you asked me earlier, what are we calling this? What I've been calling
Because
this.
I want to do this again with you. I want to do this again. I hope this isn't the only time you'll have me on.
Oh no, you're gonna be an active member of this podcast now. You're officially an active member.
Right.
What I've been calling this podcast, it's Deep State, and no pun intended. I just thought it was a cool name, but then of course with my name and everything, so it works out great. Um, so for the people who are just watching and they're like, who is this Trenton guy? I
Oh
didn't
yeah,
even.
let's introduce ourselves. Let's introduce
Yeah,
ourselves.
so we're
They don't know
gonna.
my name, by the way. You said the
Yeah,
Trenton guy. They don't know my name. That makes
yeah.
sense.
So his name is Trenton Bates. I'll give a short introduction, then I'll give you the floor. Trenton and I are, um, in a way, not the kind of childhood friend that you would think childhood friends would be, but I guess when I first moved to the U.S., he was like my first friend, and we've been best friends and brothers ever since. It's been 10, 11 years now. Oh, look at that! That's
I
all.
don't
Look,
know. I didn't know what that was. I don't know how
that's
to do
pretty
that.
funny.
Yeah, that's
So
funny.
we went to school together, college together for a little bit, lived together for a little bit, and yeah, we've just been friends. He's my oldest friend here in the U.S. and he's amazing. But you tell me now. You can tell everybody who you are, where you're from, why
So
are
my
you
name is
here?
right. My name is Trenton. I'm from Southern California. I live in California still. I'm from the LA area, Northridge to be exact. And I'll tell you guys really quick what Sharon Deep means to me. He's like he said, me and him are like college friends, but I'm trying to say something without sounding too dramatic. You have people in your life who come and go. Sharon Deep has very much not been one of those people. He's been someone who's been there with me. We stuck through a lot of stuff. And he's one of my favorite people because he reminds me that one problem I think we have in society now, everyone says, oh, it's really hard to make like it's hard to make like social bonds and it's hard to make friends and stuff. And I think that's because people are looking for one to one like copies. You have to vote the way they do. You have to eat the way they do. You have to sleep the way they do. Me and Sean Deep have a lot in common, but we also are very distinct. Like me and him are definitely different in a
Oh yeah,
lot of
we're
ways we
very
handle stuff.
different. We're for
And
sure very different.
and I think that's what real friendship is. Despite our differences, me and him come together, and me and him, we love each other all the same. He doesn't think the same way I do. I don't think the same way he does. So yeah, like you said, we met in college, and I remember the day we met. Actually,
It
it
was a
was
pretty
all on
funny
accident.
story.
Fun fact: I actually saw this guy before I met him. I'm not gonna tell him how I saw you, but I saw him before I met him, and I was like, wow. I tell you, Sharon Deep,
That's pretty funny.
he's destined for really good things. And one thing I want to say before I cut it all out, or before I end it, is that and I tell you this all the time. The thing I respect the most, and I will always respect from you, is how como se dice, how situarily, how do you say it?
Aware?
No, situationally aware you are. Like you know how to get things done, and you know
Hmm.
how to navigate and how to move. And
Hmm.
that's something I respect in my sister too. Like I want to be that one day. I want to be somebody who like, okay, I could talk to you about the economy. I could talk to you about the housing market. I could talk to you about stocks. Like you're smart and you know how to do things. It doesn't matter. You know how to get things done. It doesn't matter about like school books or anything. Oh, can you teach me how to do math? You're not that person.
No,
But
cannot.
if I need something done, you got it. And I want to be like that. I admire that in you, and that's
And
one of my favorite
sometimes you
qualities
just
of you.
have to figure out yourself, and to be, I'll give that um, compliment back to you. Up, there are people who struggle in life, and but then, but those people, they don't let those struggle to beat them down and be a victim the whole time. You've seen a lot of struggle, man. I've seen you got beat down and grow, and not once I've seen you in a way bitch and complain about everything. You made sure you're not a victim. I don't know where you get that from, but you're a strong dude. Which,
Strong, independent woman.
yeah, you're a strong, independent woman. But you don't see yourself as a victim, and that's something we need a lot in our society. I feel like everybody these days acts like or becomes a victim of something. That's why nobody's growing, nobody's becoming successful, and but it's just the way society has been programming people, all especially the Hollywood, the politician elites. They make sure that they say that you're a victim, and they're there to make sure to take care of the victims. The more victim mentality they put into people's mind, more followers and the sheeps they get for themselves so they can vote for them. It's much easier when people are more independent and more successful. More likely they're going to be more educated, and less likely they're going to follow these politicians. So um, we definitely need a lot more men who are not just a victim to their situations and the life. And you're one of those dudes, and I have huge respect uh, for you for that. And I moved out here, about a year ago in New York, and I talk about you specifically to a lot of people, my in-laws and all. But yeah, and I'm glad. I honestly tend, whenever we first met, who would have thought? I'm still thinking about the way we used to look and talk. But like, yeah, Trenton, 10 years later, we're going to be meeting over, whatever, this is Zoom or Riverside call, doing a
You
podcast.
notice one thing. No matter the distance, we seem to always find each other.
Yeah, that is
No matter
true.
the distance.
Yeah, I agree. And, I do believe in my heart, I really do believe that I think you might end up right where I am. Um, I That's what I think, but God knows. But anyways, how's San Francisco?
Are we doing the podcast, or are you just asking me like friend to friend?
I am
Because this
just
place,
we're
there's a
this
lot that we can talk about.
this episode, even though I know it's a test run episode, it is going to be live on YouTube, and it is the podcast. So give me your most honest, whatever you think. What's going on in San Francisco? How has it been? Where is it going? So yeah, go at
Okay,
it.
I'm performing now.
You are performing
So
now.
I'm performing now. So honestly, okay, and let me say something else about myself. I'm not political. I'm not
Yeah,
political. So for
I
anyone
agree.
who's watching this, for anyone who I'm gonna send this to a few people. For anyone who's watching this, I want to make this brutally clear. This is kind of like the first time we're doing this, so don't think that we've rehearsed anything. I've been calling him. I'm like, what do you want to talk about? He's like, bro, we'll do it on the spot. So none of this is like rehearsed. I'm actually not political, so
He's the
even if I
complete
was,
opposite of me. He's the complete opposite.
if I was, me and him, yeah, no. So I don't want you guys to think I'm here or he's here for us just to agree with each other and have an echo chamber. No, we're very much, like I said earlier, we think in our own way, right? So I say that to say, me and him may have different opinions on certain situations. So with that being said, California, dude, and I didn't want to get into it so early. I kind of wanted to play into it, but California is a you know what's going on here, man. This place is terrible. Like, bro, Walgreens, like there's
I know.
2,000 Walgreens are shutting down, and that's not a California problem.
Yeah.
But here in California, a lot of places are shuttering
Yeah.
because they're just mismanaging the place. We all know that, and they're targeting. So the thing I didn't want to get into so soon was a presidential debate. I kind of wanted to ease into that, but something that I think is so funny is that people want Gavin Newsom to like replace Joe Biden.
That's just
I'm like,
wild to me. Look
look at how
at
many people, look at how
California.
many people, yeah, look at how
Yeah.
many people left California.
It's
People
like,
have come
if
to
you
visit
want
them.
to, it's like if you want to hire somebody for your company, you look at their record, you look at their experience, and these people are willing to vote for the person who's experiencing have been turning the biggest economy in the world, the best place in the world into a literally a garbage fire. Like, and there, this is where, people at this point, it has become a cult where people don't even care that the guy they wants to vote in brings he's an absolute dictator. If it's a cult, they're just gonna bring that guy in, which is sad. I really hope that more people are not that way, but I'm just hoping that maybe those are the people that you just see on the internet that they just making a big scene about it. Oh, we're just gonna vote for the Gavin Newsom. I really hope that's not the case in the actual reality of people who are actually not the internet warriors, because he had turned some of the most beautiful places on earth into a little trash,
So,
third
and
world country.
I hate to interrupt you, but let's talk about it for a second. I don't think these Democrats are stupid. We're gonna talk about if we have the time. We're gonna talk about what happened in Oakland because the mayor's house in Oakland just got raided recently. By the time I don't know when you're gonna post this, but just
Yeah,
recently the
I saw
mayor's
that.
the mayor's house got raided in Oakland. So okay, why am I bringing that up? Sharon Deep, these people aren't stupid. Let's talk about something really quick. It's so weird. It's kind of like they act stupid, but they're not really stupid. So watch this. Gavin Newsom made it to where if you work fast food, you get $20 an hour, right?
Yeah,
And so this is a problem clearly because
yeah,
not McDonald's don't own a lot of the locations. McDonald's does more real estate than anything. McDonald's, like
yeah.
as the corporation that people think it is
Mm-hmm.
it largely doesn't really exist. That's somebody who owns that.
You saw that
There's
one
somebody who's
McDonald got
on.
shut down over there by San Francisco State, which is
I was
crazy.
literally just on the. I was on the phone with my friend talking about that just
That's
a few
why
minutes ago.
that's
Yeah,
that McDonald's have been there like 30, 40 plus years, I believe. And they
ever since
had
they're shutting
just
down
renovated.
Hollywood and stuff.
They had just renovated a few years ago. I remember I was because I went to Mod Pizza. There used to be right next to that McDonald's place nearby. There's Mod Pizza. What's funny enough, that also have been shut down. Uh, ironically, um, but yeah, that is pretty wild. So go ahead.
So I was saying, and again, I'm not political, so I'm not. I'm not. I'm only thing I'm gonna talk about right now is what I see. I couldn't tell you the first thing about politics, right?
Yeah.
I can tell you the first thing. So don't think that I'm biased or anything. I'm just telling you what I see. That's what I'm doing here, okay? I'm just telling you, not you, Sharon Deep. You know, I'm telling the audience.
I know.
I'm just telling you guys what I see out in my streets, right?
They know.
And so, yeah, so let's go back to what I was saying. The people who are in the powers that be, they act stupid, but I know they're not because when election day starts coming up, San Francisco just passed this thing. They're starting to get hard on crime again. They're starting to become more harder on crime
Uh,
because this is an election year.
Well, I mean, are they though? They just put out that one sign. Did I show you saw that one sign, right? Where it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like what? Like,
But they're talking
if
about
that's
cracking
not
down because
encouragement, I know that was the law that was passed. I do remember when they were trying to pass that law many, many, many years ago, and everybody's like, "This is a bad idea." I do remember the very same year my car got broken into. This is when I got on the military. This is the law where basically you can steal under 950 or 999 or something, and it won't be. It's like a misdemeanor if they even catch you for
I've been
misdemeanor.
robbed. I've been robbed so much out here. Another thing, one of the points I want to tie up was I was going to say Gavin Newsom. I said they act really stupid, but they're not.
Yeah.
So we were talking about fast food workers and how everyone had to make $20 an hour. You know this, Sharon Deep. Gavin Newsom has a friend who owns Panera Bread.
Yeah.
Did you know that His people, his workers wouldn't have to
I'm
pay the
aware.
$20 an hour.
He
So
made
it's
an
like,
exception.
so they're not stupid. They're not stupid. They're just doing this for some reason, and I don't know what that is, but that at least shows you they're not dumb. Gavin Newsom knows better. He's like, okay, this is gonna mess up a lot of people's business. Let me not do it to my friend.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it for everybody. So you get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and uh, yeah, that's really just the example I wanted to give. They're not dumb. Like I said, San Francisco, they're cracking down on crime right now. Why? Because come November and whatever, there's going to be somebody else that has to vote and get into office, and they don't want to lose that position.
I mean, at this point, I feel like, for California to change, it is a possibility, but the problem is in the last so many years, I think, like we talked about echo chambers, the people who are still in the echo chambers, they don't even understand the literacy regarding media. It's so low among a lot of people. They don't even know that they're in the echo chambers. Like, I would say maybe people who choose not to ignore, who are like, okay, well, this, you know what, this doesn't make any sense. How is it that everything that one side does is wrong and everything the other side does is right? There's just people who are smart enough, who understand it. They're like, maybe something's going on there. But there's still a lot of people, a lot of older people, they have no idea what echo chamber is. They don't know. They have no idea what that media could be lying, because according to them, everything they see on media is the truth, and they vote based off of that. That's what I'm saying. Like, at this point, I don't even know if it matters with California. Like, does your vote even matters in California? Because it just always going to be blue. Now, granted, our before Jerry Brown, we had Arnold. That was
He was the governor, huh? I forgot about that. I completely
yeah.
forgot about that.
Before Jerry
I
Brown,
forget
we had
about that.
Arnold, who was a
Yeah,
Republican, and
forgot about that.
yeah, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah,
This is a
like, come
long
on.
time when people didn't necessarily cared about parties. It was more of like, hey, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I'm sure that people care about parties up in the Washington D.C., but like normal Joe Schmo, back in the days, they didn't care much. It was like, oh, then Democrats come in, sometimes Republicans come in, didn't really matter. Nowadays it just, like, I feel like it has become one of those cult where people don't even care who it is. They just look for red and blue. And but at the same time, like there are a lot of people who move from, like, a liberal state to a red state because the red states are better. But then they go and then they vote the same exact way. Like, what are you doing?
I'm spreading the disease, I guess.
You
You
know?
know, you said something. You said something that kind of, let's be PC for him. You said something that kind of triggered me. So while we have the floor, I don't know how long we're gonna do this, but let's just talk about stuff really quick, right?
Oh,
You
we're
know
not
me,
in a
I
time
could
crunch.
talk. Hey, if anything, you should just give me the podcast. This will be an all-day stream. I'll talk for the rest of the whole day. You know I talk a lot. Something that really makes me upset, Sharon, is how, like, so I made a example earlier, 1-to-1. So 1-to-1 is like when something has to be identical to the other. This is a 1-to-1 copy. Something that's really ticking me off about society right now is how you have to be like everybody else.
Yeah.
You have to be like everybody else. There's no respect. And it's so funny, watch this. There's no respect for other people's culture. Excuse me. That's what I was trying to say. People, we live in the most isolated time ever. No one can find anybody. 60% of guys my age are single and blah blah blah. All of that. There's a lot going on in America. And again, people are. You're not the only one. We had a conversation. People are having a hard time making connections with each other because people want to meet their copy. Something that's crazy. Sharon Deep. I don't know if you're an only child or not. I'm not. People want to meet their copy, right? Understand, for those of us who have siblings, you guys were raised by the same parents or parents. You don't get along with your siblings. Why would you get along? Why would you be a carbon copy of somebody you randomly met when the people who raised you didn't raise you guys all identically? It doesn't work like that. Trenton, why are you talking about this? I'm talking about this because it's so irritating how I don't think people personally, I don't think people are really looking for actual humans. I think people are looking for objects. Objects like
Yeah.
if you ever sit to yourself, not you, you're married, but if someone ever sits to themselves, in my opinion, I might be ignorant. If someone ever says to themselves like, "Man, I wish I had a girlfriend," that's an object. You said that like, "Man, I wish I had like." You said that like, "I wish I had a bike."
Yeah.
Women. Here's my point. Women, that's a whole nother personality. That's a whole nother human
So
being.
you're basically
With her
saying
own.
what people are looking for is just a gratification, like a confirmation.
I wanna say that.
You
I
know,
wanna say
I mean,
that. I wanna say
in a
that.
way, you're right. Like, why do people buy all these things that they don't need? They buy all this object. It's for self gratification, so it makes them feel good about themselves, even though they're not happy. You see what I'm
You're
saying?
not looking for like, okay, so for example, what I was saying, I want a girlfriend. You're not saying I want Cindy or I want Amanda or I want Ariel. You're saying I want a girlfriend. That's a broad term. That's a woman who does X, Y, Z, and ABC. But she has her own personality. She has what she likes. Like she's her own person. You're asking for a generalization, not a specification. And I hate if I'm rambling. I'm so sorry, but I say all of that to say it just takes me off about how people go online and they're so quick to talk about how all these things overseas are bad and how these people are acting are bad. It's like that's their culture, right? Sharon, as an American, you understand our states don't even vote. Our states have different laws.
Yeah.
There are some things that are legal here that aren't legal in a different state. We as a country, we as a country don't think alike. So I
Yeah.
don't understand why people could. It's so weird how people could look at somebody and call something weird. You're not from there. So anime. Anyone who knows who anime. By the way, I'm 27. By the way, guys, if you guys don't know, I'm 27 years old, and I was watching this YouTube video about some people talking about anime. Anime is a cartoon from Japan, and they're talking about how weird it is and X, Y, Z, and ABC. I'm like, okay, well, it's weird to you. That's fine. But you're not from there. You don't come up over there. How are you going to teach Japan how to Japan? I think we have this, I only speak for America because I've never been out of the country. We have this very American centric idea where it's like the world has to follow us. That's not true. It's very not true. There are so many other countries and cultures that they do their own thing and it's beautiful for them. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna stop monologuing. This girl asked me this girl asked me about like a month or two ago. She was like, can you sign this petition for world peace or whatever? And she was like, what do you think about world peace? She was like, what do you think it would take for us to have world peace? And I was like, well, I'm glad that we don't have world peace because in order for us to have world peace, we would have to listen to one person.
Yeah.
Now imagine that, Sharon. Imagine, and this is not to throw any mud on anybody. Imagine if we all listened to Joe Biden and we didn't contest it at all. What he said was law and no one thought about it. Imagine if we listen to Gavin Newsom. Imagine if we listen to Trump. You can't think. The whole world, by the way. You can't think differently. You have to conform to what that one person says. The world, you shrink. The world shrinks. The world shrinks at that point. There's no more freedom. There's no free thought. None of that. Now we're all just listening to what he said or she said. There's one leader. The human mind doesn't work like that. And I told her, I was like, yeah, no, I'm very happy. It's a bittersweet thing. It's a two-edged sword. Like, you're going to have killings and you're going to have whatever have you. But at the end of the day, we get to keep this. We get to think our own way. And I very much celebrate. Yeah. I celebrate individualism. Yeah. I really do because we shouldn't think alike, Sharon Deep. We shouldn't think alike. It's just, the world is too big for that.
I'm glad we don't think alike.
100%. And I'm not talking about me and you, but I'm just saying, like, in the planet, like,
I agree.
The world is too big for that.
I agree.
Imagine living in Europe.
Imagine living in a place where everybody looks just like you, says exactly. Nobody would be interesting. Nobody be. It's.
And so
I don't want to be living in that world. I don't want to live in the problem.
People are looking for in society, in my opinion. This is why people say they can't find friends. No, you can find a friend if you can just respect somebody.
What's funny is, everything you said, every single word you said, I agree with you, and everything you said. What's funny that you mentioned that. Look at what happened in the past. In the past so many years, for somebody to say that, yeah, I voted for Biden. They made it such taboo. Like, oh my God, how could this person even think the opposite me? How could you even say, oh my God, you like Trump? How could you? How could you? It was so crazy. It was so taboo. And same thing, just like you said, we have this culture here, and like a lot of
Very
people here.
American centric.
Yeah, a lot of people
American
here
centric.
celebrate, Pride Month and all that kind of stuff. Again, I have gay friends. They celebrate all that stuff. I'm happy for them. I'm happy that they have their freedom, that they're able to do whatever they want to do. Do I have to participate in it? No. I don't agree with it. I don't have to participate in it, but I'm happy that you're able to. You know, I agree with you the same way. All of us, we have different thoughts, and different views. We dress a different way. Imagine you live in a country where exact same thing you're wearing right now, I'm wearing the same thing. We have the same thought, exactly the same. See, this is what I hate, and it's what's funny. You mentioned all of this leads back to the way communism and socialism was like. Everything's like equal, we're all equal. It's like a la la land that doesn't exist, that doesn't work. That's why no place on earth have ever had a successful transition, or a place where communism was like successful. Name one. Anybody, I'm willing to debate anybody who is like, yeah, I want all socialism. Name one country. Name one country in the world where you're like, yes, they're in a really good, happy, successful society where it did not lead to millions of people dead.
Let me say something really quick. Every I want to say every decade we have these pivotal moments, and it seems. And watch this. It always seems to happen at the beginning of the year or the beginning of the decade, right? So in 2000, we had 9/11, right?
Yeah.
I want to say in the tens, the world was supposed to end. Something probably happened. I forgot. I was in high school.
In 12.
Now,
They were saying the world's gonna end in 12.
in 2012, yeah.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the decade. Now, 2020 happens, and I'm assuming this is going on YouTube, so we have to talk around it.
Listen, we can talk about anything we want.
But you can't say the word, right? Or you're gonna get demonetized or whatever.
What word?
The cough, the tooth. You can't really say the. Either way.
I mean, you can say. I'm guessing you can say virus.
Okay, yeah. So people, yeah. So the virus, and I bring that up to say that was so divisive.
It was crazy.
That was so divisive. And
it was crazy.
I'm bringing that up because what are we talking about right now? People want copies of themselves. You have to think like me.
Yeah.
So we're doing this like 4 years after it came out.
Isn't that crazy? It's been 4 years.
You couldn't get a job. Friends would disown you. And let's not even talk about how most of the stuff that they said has been walked back. And it gets in your clothes, and people are dying.
Every single thing they said was a conspiracy theory, ended up being correct. Every single thing outside. I don't know if anybody else experienced this way. In San Francisco, do you remember when we tried to go to restaurants?
I was about to bring that story up. Yeah, tell them about it.
Yeah, we couldn't go eat. We couldn't go to a restaurant. Most of the places in California, because I have stories about San Jose as well, I could not go because I did not have the vaccination card. I couldn't go to a restaurant. I couldn't go to a museum. I couldn't do anything. And a lot of people what's funny, I'll tell you the story about San Jose. A friend of mine, and I don't think she cares anything about politics or anything, but probably more liberal. She is what is it, ice skating? She does like a professional ballet, ice skating ballet, whatever the thing is. Anyways, she's from Minnesota originally, visiting us, and she's like, yeah, let's go to San Jose. They were having the Christmas theme parade and whatnot. and she wanted to go visit this ice rinks and some few other places. And we told her like, we can't go. We can come with you, but we won't be able to go inside. She laughed. What's funny? How you're laughing, right? She laughed. She was like, no, that's she. You know what she said? She said, no, 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 that's not true. It's just on the internet. It's not actually true. And we're like, no, we experience it every single day. It is true. And so she didn't believe us. She's like, okay, don't worry. Let's just go. Let's just try it out. I'm like, all right, that's fine. So we stand in line, right? We walk up to the counter. The lady's like, hey, yeah, can I see your vaccination card? She's like, yeah, this is mine. My friends don't really have one today, but can they come in? And the lady's like, yeah, no, they're not even supposed to be in this line, so they need to get out of the line. So she was like, this is crazy. And after that, everything else we tried to do, I think we couldn't really go inside anywhere. So it is crazy. Yeah, the COVID thing was very, very, very divisive, and
Dude, there were so many people, and it's like there were so many people who became nurses overnight. Like they knew what was good for you better than, and it's so insane. Watch this, right? Can we just talk about the Hallmark 2 things really fast? And by the way, everybody, I'm not anti-vax. I'm not pro-vax. I'm just a person.
See the fact that you even have to say that, the fact that you even have to say that. Why? Because I can pull up clips of why all of a sudden all these news media start calling everybody anti-vax, even though they weren't anti-vax. They just had like, hey, this doesn't sound right. I don't know. As soon as you ask question, you're a conspiracy theorist.
That frustrates me. That's the whole thing that frustrates me. There shouldn't be a problem with asking a question.
Exactly.
You're fight for a reason. And so watch this. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I feel like in society now, since the internet's a thing, we're all looking for carbon copies of each other. You have to be like me. You can't be your own person. Because watch this. I was going to say something about the Hallmark things, right? So, number one, and anyone who's watching this, literally look it up. There's something called a test run, a trial run. When they come up with a vaccine, when they come up with any sort of medicine, there's a trial run.
There's a trial run.
Because down the line, they want to see how it affects people.
Yeah.
This is how medicine works. Yeah. I'm not saying anything. This is how medicine works.
This is how it's always been factual, just the same way.
So you can't get on somebody for not trusting, first and foremost. Watch this, right? If COVID just became a problem in 19 and you guys came up with the vaccination in 20, who are you guys testing it on? You're saying one or two things.
People.
You're saying you're saying one or two things. You're saying A, they didn't test it, or B, they did test it because they saw this coming. No, well, don't worry about it. They did do testing. When did they have time to do testing? It just came out. Yeah. Like, it just happened. So what do you say back in 17 and 18? That they were, that's number one. That's my number one little point right there. Number two, everyone who is at risk were people with respiratory issues, older people with like bad, So, why do we all need to be vaccinated if you can just vaccinate them?
Right.
Why do we all need it when you can just vaccinate them? If they're the people at risk, they should be the ones in line. Sharon, watch this. Let me do an example for you. Let's say you're rich and I'm poor. Why do we both need to get a job? You already have money. Does that make sense to you? We both will meet an unemployment line. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
I'm sick, you're healthy. Why do we both have to go to the hospital? And so, well, Trigger, what's your point? My point is that was very divisive. You think politics are bad. COVID was terrible. I had friends who were like, I used to go to work. Watch this. You can't talk about you can't ask coworkers how much they make an hour. You can't talk about religion. You can't talk about but you could talk about the fucking jab.
I know, like asking people, hey, have you got the jab? All of a sudden, the HIPAA goes out of the window as soon as.
I'm like, wait, we can talk about this. Bro, seriously, people would get mad at you. If you didn't have that. Let's just be honest. Right?
Yeah, dude. Be like, I have people mad at me. So many people. Like, dude, listen, I choose not to get it. Whatever happened to my body, my choice.
It's your prerogative. Like, why is that? Is your body your choice? Why is that wrong for you to say,
Oh man. And you know, I would say um, media played a big role. I
100%,
mean,
100%,
the biggest
100%.
role. And I'm just gonna say one thing. You know, when you make war profitable, you'll always have war. And when you make illness profitable, you will always have illness. And when you make where big pharma profitable, they will
You're a real
always come
intelligent.
out with
You're a
the
real
ways
intelligent man.
to
You're,
just if you think when people, I mean, the fact that all these Bill Gates and all these people, they all knew it was coming. They all knew it was coming.
sometimes I think that. I think
What,
that
what's
sometimes I
Oh
do
yeah,
think
they
so.
knew. The 100% knew. What's funny is, especially like people in our generation, or most people probably had no idea who Anthony Fauci was prior to 2019 or even 2020, right? Ask the old timers about Fauci. They will tell you how heinous he was. The whole AIDS pandemic, he played the biggest role in the AIDS pandemic. For people listening, I encourage you to go read The Real Anthony Fauci by Robert F. Kennedy. That book have been fact checked several times. Every single thing Robert F. Kennedy is one of the Kennedys who's actually running for president. He wrote that book, and it's not just about COVID. It was, I believe it came out in either 2019 or 2020. It's mostly about um, the things he did during the I would say 70s or 80s AIDS pandemic that mostly affected black communities. Uh, and people who know him, who work with him, they know this dude. And he's protected, man. He's a protected class. These people, like, that's why whenever I see all these congressional hearings, like, I see them so often where all I see is congressmen, both Republic and well, I don't ever see Democrat grilling anybody that they won, but nothing ever happens. I see them grill these people, Fauci, and what Facebook did during 2020 election. Nothing ever comes out of it. So that's why I'm like, I don't even know anymore. But
So, to kind of preference this, everybody who's listening, all one of you, what I want to make abundantly clear is I'm pro communication. We
yeah,
should talk about these things. There's nothing wrong with talking about
I
these things. You
agree.
shouldn't be a villain for having your own perspective. When COVID came out, all people had were questions. But it wasn't, you couldn't, no, don't ask a question, just go get the jab and then we'll talk later.
Don't
No,
have
at that
questions.
point, there's nothing to talk about. I'm already
Yeah,
vaccinated now. So it's like,
don't
what are we
have
going to talk
questions.
about? But I think society really has a problem with that. And this is why I said I'm glad that the world will never be a utopia. I'm
Yeah,
so happy that we'll always have people who think for themselves.
yeah,
Not everybody, but I'm glad that we'll always have people who think for themselves. There'll always be someone who questions.
yeah.
Because I think, especially with the internet now, man, like people, there has been some of the craziest stuff, some of the craziest laws that's been passed, and people just don't talk about it.
Yeah,
Just,
like that
just, just,
really
just think about it.
thick omnibus bill that they passed. I mean, it's the same way what they do. They pass these things by inducing fear. When you have fear, people will make polarized decisions. It's the same way during 9/11 when they passed the Patriot Act. Patriot Act is probably the most unpatriotic act that you can ever pass.
You want
It
to know what
literally
you're
takes
saying.
away people's liberty to privacy, people's freedom to privacy, which it clearly states in the Constitution, right to privacy.
What you're saying makes a lot of sense because America didn't become a superpower until after World War II. And how this works was that after the war, America didn't participate in the war until like the very end.
Yeah,
And after it did, I'm kind of piggybacking off of what you're saying. the production. They were making a lot of they were making a lot of things for the war. I want to say rubber, but it's not called rubber. What do you like tires? What is it called? What are tires made out of? I'm blanking right now.
Oh, it's rubber.
It's rubber. So like America, they started mass producing things, and it was great for the economy because
Yeah,
the
we
war
had a
required
well
this sort of stuff.
functioning industry.
And so I'm saying that to piggyback off of what you're saying, 100%, you need a distraction. You need a distraction because when the population isn't distracted, we're looking at you, we're questioning you. So if you keep us, oh man, who do you vote for? And oh man, did you get the jab? And oh man, women are this. And oh man, men are this. We're not looking at you. You guys get to take the bag and run. You guys get to get the money, billions of dollars. You get to send money to Ukraine. I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying you get to do these things because we're too busy fighting with each other.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's so funny. People are so ignorant. But the internet's right here. Now let's be honest. It's very sensitive. The internet is very sensitive. You could Google something right now and a whole bunch of things will not show up.
Oh yeah, they want you to
Let's
see
just be
what they
honest.
want you to see.
100%. That's why they have these alternative search engines like DuckDuckGo and all of these other things. And I feel like some of those are probably sensitive as well. But my point is, Sharon Deep, you said something that was great earlier. You're like, there's no money in solving problems. There's only money in treating it, right? So with that being said, why would you cure? I don't know if they have a cure for cancer or not, but why would you cure
I'm
cancer?
sure
if you
they
treat it?
do. I'm sure they
Why
do.
would you cure it? Why would you cure it if you can just treat it and just keep getting money?
Keep making money.
Why would you? You know, they said that Nikola Tesla came up with an alternative means of fuel.
I'm sure a lot of
Before
other people. He came up with the 0 point energy.
Right before there was gas.
Yeah.
But they didn't go with it because gas makes more money.
I
We're
can.
trying to get paid. We're not trying to like actually do good things. What are you doing? You know?
And now of course I'm just speculating. I don't have any proof, but
Yeah.
in my I can guarantee you, there have been a lot of people that have came out with the technology much better for everything, alternative to fuel. That has been censored from us, all those patents. Are you aware of there's the Patent Secrecy Act of 1952.
I didn't know about that.
So that Patent Secrecy Act was established basically to, let's say, if all of a sudden you make an invention and this invention is so crazy good that it is going to destroy the country's economy / it's going to destroy the country if it destroys the country.
Is this a real thing?
It's a real thing. It's an actual act. So it came into implemented in 1952. It's been in place for like almost 70 years now. And so what that means, if you file for a patent, and that patent's like so crazy, if you come up with the technology, government can basically come in and be like, this is ours. You can't do anything with it. And they will make sure, because it's now a national security threat, that you don't have a voice after that. It's an actual thing. There was an interview I was watching. It's he's a minister. He was like an actual minister because every department in the U.S. has a minister. He was head minister of the U.S. Patent Office, and once he retired, at one point he had mentioned that while he was working, because he was talking about all of a sudden the question came up about how many patents he could actually take into secrecy under that act. He say at one point they had over 50,000 patents. They were so crazy good that they had to put in under secret because they can't release it. It's an actual thing. You can look it up right now. It's an actual thing. Actually, matter of fact, I want to test something. So they have this share screen button. So let me see.
That's really disheartening to hear that.
Oh no, later.
Yeah, Invention Secrecy Act of 1951. The Invention Secrecy Act of 1951
Oh, there
made
you go.
such
You
a
got it.
patent secrecy.
You got it. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
made such a patent secrecy permanent, though the order suppressed any invention that would renew each year, except during periods of declared war or national emergency.
Yeah. So, so that's an actual thing, and there has been so many people that have came out with technology. You can there's some few people who before filing a patent they actually went to the news, and it was in the news that this guy basically came up with this alternative fuel, and X, Y, and Z. By the way, think about it. If you come out with something that is literally going to replace the oil and the auto, mainly the oil industry and the auto industry in the world, you're coming after. You're a nobody probably don't even have $1,000 in his bank account, coming after $1 trillion industry, including politicians and mafia, right? You have no chance of survival.
And actually, I'm really glad that we're doing this. I'm really glad that we're doing this podcast. I tell you all the time, thank you for having me, number one. But number two, for everyone who's watching, if you guys think we're lying about anything, look it up.
Yeah.
Look it up. I'm not trying to
And
I'm not trying to impose anything on you.
and again, I tell people this all the time. There's going to be times where I'm going to be wrong. Correct me. If I'm wrong, if you're like, hey, you said this and it's not correct,
I like what you did there. I like what you did there.
yeah, I'm willing to learn more.
How about this? If we're wrong, correct us.
Yeah,
Look it up and bring us facts. Correct us. Come on.
I'll be much happier to be corrected and learn more because I'll just tell people if you want to rise, you want to learn. The moment you stop learning, the moment you stop rising. So correct me, and because I want to rise with you, all you, and that's what we're here to do. But yeah, yeah, something you mentioned earlier. Um, what I need to have is a pen and paper on me. So whenever you're talking, because this is what I love. Like, let's say if you're talking, I don't want to interrupt you. I want you to keep talking. But during that time, there's going to be moments where like, oh, that's a really good point. But I want to write it down. So next time when we do this, if it's I would love to do this on a weekly basis. We talk about everything that goes on during the whole week. I want you to be the actually active member of this podcast because I think both you and me, we have such a different, I guess, I don't want to say upbringing, but I would say different culture because you were born and raised in America. I was not born and raised in America,
you know. I want to touch on that too, by the way.
So, and in a way, maybe someday we'll talk about our stories. We, in a way, sort of have a similar upbringings, but in different culture way. Since we're in America, so it's more relative to talk about this American culture. But okay, so I'm gonna go back before I forget. This is why I need a pen and paper. You mentioned something how kids these days on the internet, all who are so quick to judge and X, Y, and Z. I agree with you. That is the case these days. But think about it this way. I think more and more, because I'm not gonna talk about where I work, but I'll just tell you guys where I work. I interact with a lot of people. I interact with a lot of young people. I interact with a lot of old people, and I can tell you this right now. And it is sad, and I hope this change. And well, a lot of young people have no personalities. They're like you said, what I see these days is like a carbon copy of what they see on the internet is more um, um, cool, Well, and I don't even know every so often I'm like sitting there and these kids are using words like, oh, this is gas, this is this. I'm like, what language are you talking about? And that's what everybody says these days. I'm like, just because everybody says these days doesn't mean you have to say it too. I think you should think for your own self. Like, does it actually make sense by saying gas or it doesn't make any sense, you know. Anyways, that just so I think people have no personalities because most of the people when I'm glad the way I grew up and you in a way too. We weren't like an iPad kids. We weren't iPad kids at all. We actually did things. We were outside. Yeah, as we grew up, we got Facebook and all these things, but we got it on the later end of the times. We weren't born into social media. These kids these days, they were born into social media. They were born with smartphones. They don't know how to think for themselves. They don't know. What's funny, a lot of people would say, oh, all the young kids, they don't know everything how to do. Let me tell you, because I work with them, they don't. At least you and I have the skill to, if something doesn't make any sense, we'll figure it out. This new generation don't have that skill because if they can't figure anything out, they just Google everything. You know?
I wanna say something. And it's really unfortunate because at the end of the day, it all comes from just wanting to fit in. I don't care if you were born in 1912, 1920, 1930. At some point in your life, you've always wanted to fit in. As humans, we are a communal sort of like, we have an urge to find our community.
Yeah.
A lot of people say this is where religion comes from. You want to be in that worship and you want to be in that fellowship, right?
Yeah.
And I believe that the internet's taken advantage of that. I believe the TikToks, the YouTubers, we come from a time where kids used to eat Tide Pods, right? Kids will always...
Wait, hold on. We come from the time where kids are eating Tide Pods? I don't think we're the same generation anymore.
We were around for that. And so, it's for a sense of, and this actually speaks to me as a person, because I think we've both been here, but it really just is, you want that sense of family. We live in a time now where you could live where you live, but you could have a friend across seas. You could have a friend in Ukraine. You could have a friend in China. And you build your communities now. That's a bad thing because that's number one. It disrupts culture. You can't really be. There's so many.
Yeah, we can talk about that too someday because...
Yeah, I got a notification, I'm sorry. But my thing is, like, you have these kids who are like... I'm trying to make it make sense. You aren't forced to deal with your problems. The internet kind of makes it to where now you can just escape. Yeah. If you have bad social skills, you don't have to go outside and make that better. There's so many people who don't want to work a 9 to 5. 9 to 5s are necessary. That's a building block. That's how you build your resume. Well, Trent, you're all over the place.
That's how we built the world.
I'm going somewhere with this. Check it out. When there's a problem in your life, problems are meant to be solved. You go to school, they give you problems on a quiz. You're supposed to solve those. We live in a world now where you don't have to solve. You could just go and do your own thing. This is where, I need a safe space and blah, blah, blah. And I hope I'm not ranting, but my point is like...
You're not.
Everyone now, we are more connected. I'll tell you, Sharon, there are some people online who probably know more about you than your mom does. They just look through all of your stuff. Because, you go online and you Google things and people take your information. We're still isolated. We're still very isolated. And I think people, my thesis is that people, number one, businesses take advantage of our humanity, of us being human. This is why. This blows my mind. If you ever notice how, if you do, dating apps, some psychologists came up with that. They were like, when you swipe, the human mind reacts a certain way. They literally brought people in, if that's what business is. They brought people in to actually take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And there's a place I'm going with this. I'm going to save it for a little bit later. But to bring it all back in, people just want to feel loved and people just want to feel like they fit in. But I don't know, people you're like, well, who's people? Everyone out there.
Everybody.
Everyone wants to fit in, and it's like the world weaponizes it,
Yeah.
Be like me or else. You're like, okay, well, I want to fit in, and I'm saying this to say because I can actually be really hard on people. I'm like, you're a sheep, you're an idiot, or you're doing this thinking like other people. But it's like, okay, where does that come from? It's easy to call the drug addict a druggie, but where does that come from? It's easy to look at a homeless man and see him sleeping on the... Okay, but where does that come from?
Yeah.
Why is it like that, right? Let's understand the problem. And it comes from wanting to fit in. It comes from, okay, the world is messed up. I don't want to do what these people are doing, but I also don't have any friends. No one likes me.
Yeah.
I'm getting bullied at school. And I have a crush on this girl, and she'll only like me if I do X, Y, Z, and ABC. That's where that comes from. A lot of the time, I'm generalizing, but a lot of the time, people, they say ignorance is bliss. People are genuinely, they're looking for that. I'm gonna say this. And I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you continue talking. Excuse me, because I feel like I'm ranting. But
You're not.
in our life, in our life, we all encounter these problems. We all feel like we don't feel at home at home. Mom doesn't understand us, dad doesn't understand us, our brother and sister are fighting us. We look for a community outside. And nowadays we look for a community outside. Now I just made a friend in Japan. Now I just made a friend in, Vietnam or whatever, whoever has a computer. Let me run it back. Problems are meant to be solved. Problems are meant to be solved. I don't get along with mom and dad. You solve that problem. You solve that problem. If I go outside and something's wrong with me, to make it make sense, the internet creates an echo chamber for people. If I'm thinking radically and I'm like, I want to be a communist, I want to be a socialist, but people at my house don't agree with that. Guess what? I don't have to talk to them about that.
Yeah.
I get to go online and find other people like me, right?
Yeah.
So the problem is, instead of them teaching me, because mama's older than me, daddy's older than me, we came up in the same neighborhood. Instead of me talking to them and ironing out the details, I'm like, nah, let me just go make a friend.
Yeah.
And you look at a lot of something that really, something that I might get put on a list for this, something that really interests me. Not like it interests me. I'll just leave it like there are incels. Incels, people who are involuntary celibate. It's like I told you I'd stop talking. I can't.
Hey, this is why we're doing this. We talk.
Right. There are men and women. There are men who really take a normal problem. Oh, I can't get a girl. We've all been there. They take a normal problem, but instead of solving it, they take it online, and now they're talking to people who think just like them in different states.
Yeah, they get gratification, confirmation.
You could literally just talk to your parents about it because your dad's probably been through it, your mom's probably been through it, your brother's probably been through it, and you could have ironed that out. But you're like, nah.
Yeah.
No one understands me, and now what happens? Now schools get shot up. Like, my point is, Sharon, I think where we've went wrong, and I'm gonna say this, and I promise I'll quit.
I'll quit.
Yeah. And this is sad. They're taking advantage of us because that's how you make money. People think the Kardashians are stupid. I think the Kardashians are rich.
They're smart. They're taking advantage of people's stupidity.
Can I say that again? People think the Kardashians are stupid. I think the Kardashians are rich. They're doing what they know will make them money. By the way, they come from old money. They come from old money, but they still make money themselves.
They still make money.
100%. So who's really stupid? Me and you who are working a 9 to 5, or the people we're laughing and joking about who don't have to work?
Exactly.
And that's right there. And I was also gonna say, I think my point was, I think businesses they take advantage. A lot of YouTubers, influencers, because that's their business model. It's like it's like what you were talking about earlier.
Like when people are like, oh my god, why he's doing all these crazy, dumb, stupid stuff. He knows he's doing all this crazy, dumb, stupid stuff. They're well aware of it. They're doing it for views. If a person keep doing what you do every single day, just walk around 9 to 5, who's gonna watch it? Who wants to watch a boring 9 to 5 job? It's an amazing thing to do. I do 9 to 5. It's a hard work. But you see what I'm saying? Nobody wants to watch it. That's why here comes these crazy YouTubers. They do all the crazy dumb stuff, and that's why people watch them. Oh my god, why is he doing this? It's crazy. But I think you bring up everything you said. It all makes sense. You weren't rambling. You made really good points. Yes, back in the days, people had their struggles, people had problems, but they dealt with them. Why? Because back in those days, they didn't have these escape pods, which we have today: Facebook, Tinder, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, YouTube. They didn't have those. Now we do. Now people can just let go, take off their responsibility clock, put it away, and just escape instead of dealing with the problem. But go ahead.
The thing that's really crazy and sad about it too, like I said, it's exploitative because let's say you're a YouTuber. You actually are. Let's say you're a YouTuber, and I feel like I identify with you.
Wow, somebody just called me YouTuber.
But let's say that you're a YouTuber and I identify with you. These people are trying to build a community with you, and you're just trying to get paid. You guys aren't the same.
Yeah.
So these, like you said, these people who were going out and acting stupid and skibidi riz and all of that TikTok stuff, you're looking to them to be your pillar. You're looking to them to be your community. You're just a number to them. And I feel like business, this is something I'm understanding about business. Business is exploitative. You have to, you either have to find a need that people aren't like, people can't fulfill themselves, or you create one. That's how business works. That's how business works. And it's terrible because that's not something you should do with people's lives. I don't think people, I feel the community isn't prioritizing. It's so funny. Watch this. There's so many things that don't make any sense in the world these days. Everyone wants to be an individual, right? But then they complain about how there's no community. And you're like, well, Trent, you said earlier that you should think about yourself. 100%. I 100% think that you should think for yourself, but at the end of the day, it shouldn't cost you your sense of community.
Yeah, I think
Your sense of community.
I agree. I think funny you mentioned that about all these businesses. This is something I tell people all the time. When people are like, oh yeah, I have Facebook, this. People think it's free. And you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
People think it's free. It's like nothing is ever free. You don't even get to be born in this world. You can't even die without paying a dime. State takes the rest of it. Nothing is free. And they don't know how most people these days are in debt because they're on social media and they're selling their data, and now these companies have a profile on them and they literally push out ads of things they know this person is 100% for sure going to click on it and buy because they know your insecurities. They know what makes you tickle. So tell people, nothing is ever free. You're paying with your data, you're paying with your time, you're paying with your attention. Nothing is ever free, and they're taking advantage of you. And when you sign up for these things, you sign up for them because nobody's read terms and condition. Everything's in there, fine print, written right there. Nobody reads them.
I just to get back to my point, it all comes from a I don't know. You really deal with things the best way you can.
Yeah.
And I don't have any hatred. You're like, what are you talking about? I don't like to look down on people. I don't like to look at someone like, oh, you're less than me because you don't think the same way.
I agree.
Like, boy, I say that to say, Sharon Deep, and like, let's be honest here. I'm just gonna talk to you like, what's funny? You actually reminded me that we're even doing this. I'm talking to you like we're on the phone, but I'm not even thinking about the whole,
Yeah, I agree.
But let me just be vulnerable with you really quick. Let me be vulnerable with you really fast. And it's not even, I'm not pausing because I'm having a hard time saying this online. I'm pausing because I'm having a hard time saying this to you as a person. I don't have an online presence. I don't too much care. When you, because everybody does this, it's a very human thing. It's called tribalism. When you have a tribe, friends, family, wife, whatever, political preference. When you have your tribe and you look on at another tribe and you find a way to exploit them, sometimes it sounds like a good idea. I'm gonna tell you this. So okay, let me tell you what I'm talking about. Sometimes when you look at how stupid people are, you do. Well, I'll speak for myself. When you look at how gullible people can be and how stupid people can be, I personally have like this tug of war with myself. I'm like, okay, either enlighten them or take advantage of them. Clearly, I don't take advantage. I just try to enlighten people.
Yeah.
It's so crazy because a lot of people won't even listen to you. You be like, hey, listen, the sun is out today. They're like, I don't see the sun. Well, the sun is right there. Like, or, like, you can save more money by switching to Geico. We're not sponsored. But my point is, you try You try to give people this information, and it's up to them to take it or not, and it gets
Yeah.
you frustrated.
Yeah.
You're like, you know what? If you're choosing to be ignorant, and this can work,
Yeah.
this could be for me too, because there's sometimes I choose to be ignorant too. I make so many mistakes, but I'm saying you try to enlighten people, and they
Yeah.
choose to be ignorant, and you're like, okay, well then you know what? Let's play it your way. Then I'm just gonna take advantage of you, and I'm gonna make money. What were we talking about? We were talking about how there's no money in a cure. There's money in a treatment.
Yeah.
Because if you cure something, you just killed the economy for that thing, for whatever. So I say all of that. I say all of that because a lot of the time, I like to look at stuff like that. I like to because who doesn't want to be rich?
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to have money? Who doesn't want to just come out with something? But at the end of the day, you're exploiting people. And I think this is something that this is something you kind of touch on. You never explicitly say it when you talk about the Democrats.
Yeah.
When you talk about the Democrats, you're always like, it's always in your words that you're saying. You're like, they're exploiting you guys.
They're exploiting
your stupidity.
Yeah.
And none of you guys can see it.
Yeah.
And
this
what were you about to say?
This is what I tell people how Democrats work. And I'm gonna touch up on exactly what you talk about. You know, have you ever heard people talk about be the 2%? Right? I'll tell you this. Let's start with this. I would say at least 50% of the businesses exist because people are gullible. Right? Because they know people are going, if you just hit the right tones, right message, people are going to buy the things that they don't need. And that's half of the economy is relied on those people. Right? That's why, but people still have the freedom to make those choices. You know? Is it ethical to run those ads, say those words where you know psychologically how it's going to hit those people and they're going to click yes, they're going to follow this person, they're going to vote this Is it ethical? No, but people still have the right to vote, right to buy whatever they want to, right to spend whatever money they want to spend. And this is exactly why more people are poor and than the people who are rich. Because the few who understand how that works, they escape that 98% of the world mentality and become the 2% who knows how it works, who becomes those business-minded people and sell it to the rest of 98%. That's why probably the richest people in the world, when you see them, you won't even think that these people are actually rich. That's why when you see a fancy car outside, oh my god, I got a fancy car, it's most likely the guy's in debt. You know? The people who buy Mercedes in the middle class, they're just pretending to look like somebody who they're not. You know, that's why you see a lot of rich people, they don't buy any cars until they really absolutely have to.
You know, as you speak, and this is always something I thought about. You ever notice how the more things change, the more they stay the same? You know, not too long ago, I want to say a few hundred years back, we used to worship incestuous people. What do you mean? Well, we didn't actually, because America wasn't a thing, but in Europe, a lot of those kings and queens, they used to keep the gene pool really small because they ruled through divine right. You know, God told us that we have the right to rule over you. Well, what God? I've never seen him. Don't worry about it. Just listen to us. Why you bring that up, Trent? I'm saying that because we're living the same life right now. We have these influencers. We have these rich people, and we all celebrate them. And there's nothing wrong with that if you do that. But I'm just saying, we're looking to them. I can't tell you how many people celebrate and worship people and don't even know why.
Don't even know why.
Dude. Like, hey, let's just take it back to politics. Watch this. Yeah. Again, I'm not political, but let's just say, I know what's happening outside because I live here. I live in San Francisco. I know what's happening out here.
Yeah, we saw it firsthand.
If people just look at what their governor is doing, what their president is doing, you would realize you're just going with the crowd. You don't see what his you don't
Yeah. What's funny you just mentioned, it made me think of something. So you know Aztecs, right? Aztecs.
no.
So Aztecs were, let me give you like a definition. It'll be, they were very, very, very old timers. They're Aztec people. They're the Mayans.
Oh, Aztec people.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I know. Yeah,
Aztec.
yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah,
they
sorry.
they used to sacrifice, because a lot of Aztecs, in the history of Aztec, there's been a lot of cults, and they used to sacrifice babies, right? They used to sacrifice babies. They used to sacrifice just people, because they're like, if you sacrifice babies and people, it just, we're making whoever happy. I don't know. And I was reading upon that, and then somebody's like, "Oh my God, we're a much better place now. We don't sacrifice babies." And then all of a sudden, I started thinking about, I'm like, we still sacrifice babies. We just have
It
different
just looks
language
different.
for it.
It just looks different.
It just looks different. Planned Parenthood, like literally, all they're doing, they're sacrificing a life. They have a heartbeat. They're living. We're sacrificing babies. Um, so kind of relate to what you were talking about. In the old time, people used to just worship whatever, and now we're just people same way. All these 2 million followers, 300 million followers, for what? Like, what do you have never seen this person? You've seen this person in a virtual reality. You do that person. Maybe that person. Imagine this. Now I just thought of this. I'm like, imagine there is a celebrity that exists in the world, right? All of a sudden, this celebrity, this person's in a show. It's also singing songs. Everybody's seen it all around the world. They've seen him on TV. They've seen him on YouTube. But that person doesn't actually exist. In a way, most celebrities, they don't really exist in our lives. We don't know who we're following, or these kids these as influencers are following. That person might as well be not real, but just another AI generated, either a
Exactly.
song or a person. And that's exactly where we headed. Why AI influencers right now starting to exist? It doesn't just happen. All these coders and psychologicals and doctor who worked in developing these AI influencers and models these days, they know it's going to work because they've seen human behavior. With they know people who never meet a person in their life, will never see this person in their life, just see them on a display. That person might as well be not a real person, but the people will follow.
Where I think it comes from is that in business, two have to work together. Hey, Sharon, you want to start a business with me? Yeah, let's open a lemonade stand. I'll build the lemonade stand. You sell the lemonade. We have to work together. So
Yeah.
okay, how does that look? Okay, well let's cut the profits 50-50. You're like, well, wait, I'm selling the lemonade. You just built the stand. I don't, I should have 75. My point is this. You're like AI is becoming the people that are doing AI work now. They're trying to eliminate the other person.
Yeah.
Now look, okay, well, Trent, if you want to take 50% of profits, you know what I'm just gonna do? I'm just gonna have AI sell this theoretical lemonade. Of course, we understand that's silly because AI can't do. But my point is, you're eliminating your business partner. Now you get to keep more of the profit. You get to keep more of the money. I want to take it a little bit personal with you for a second,
Yeah.
Sharon. Let's go back to what I was talking about. It seems like almost to get ahead, you do have to take advantage of other people's ignorance, right? You, you'd be surprised how easy it is to change oil. By the way, something you probably don't know. You ever notice how like the insurance for those who are still watching us for when you go get your oil changed, you ever notice let me go back. Excuse me. When you get insurance, they ask you how much do you drive a year, how many miles do you do a year, and you're
Yeah.
like, well, why? Why do you ask people that question? It's easy to lie. No, it's not. When you go to get your oil change, they check all of that and they send that. They send
Yeah.
that to whoever
They
your
go to
insurance.
Nasta.
Yes, and so you could lie and be like, oh, I don't really drive the car, and like you'll think that they'll give you lower rates. No, they'll find out as soon as you get your oil
Oh
change.
yeah.
And it's super easy to do oil change yourself. All you have to do is loosen the bolt, oil comes out, and then you just put more oil in. Boom, right? Okay, well, Trent, why are you bringing all of this up? I want to ask you a question. So, like I told you earlier, sometimes what we just established about business, how it largely is you taking advantage of people. I wonder, does that thought ever cross your mind? Do you ever think like, these people are awfully stupid?
Oh yeah.
Maybe let me like,
Oh yeah. Most of the businesses exist. I mean, of course, there's supply and demand, and of course, most people do realize. Well, the older you get, you do realize. Most people, if you realize, you just need a shoe. You don't need a Nike shoe, right? Most people, of course, they do realize that they can just change their oil themselves. They choose not to, right? And
convenience.
and there's people who know that they are just lazy people, and there's supply and demand. Of course, if there's an opportunity, in a way, you can look at it both ways. You can look at it in a way it's a supply and demand, or you can look at it, I'm taking advantage of these people, or you can look at it like I'm choosing to do the work this person not doing. In return, this person is going to pay me if it's a service, right? And
Yeah.
on the other side, you're like, I'm gonna create this product and push it out with some young blonde model on TikTok. And there are a lot of people out there who don't need to spend any money, but because they're stupid, they're going to spend money. And I'm going to become rich.
Are you familiar with Nietzsche?
Yeah,
Do you know about the slave and master morality?
yeah,
That's kind of what we're talking about right
yeah.
now. You have these people who, and I don't want to butcher it,
We're
but
talking
I want
about
to
a
take
lot of different aspects of virtue.
I want to tell you a story really quick. I promise it won't be long, but this is just the reality we live in.
It's
So,
just a reality we live in, yeah.
so I don't really want to. Who cares? No one knows me. My name is Trenton. You guys may or may not ever see me again. Who cares? I'm gonna tell you guys a story about somebody. I'm not gonna put their name out there because if I do become something one day, this will get out. She knows who this is.
You are
Let me
going to
just say,
become something one day, my friend.
right? She knows who she is. She just told me this story, and yeah. So this could be a true. This could be a lie. I wouldn't waste your time with a lie though. Let's just say I have a friend, right? She's a distant friend from far away, right? I'm trying to distance myself from her as much as possible. So she was she had a boyfriend, right? Her boyfriend was a rapper. Oh, real quality job or whatever.
Real macho.
Yeah, yeah. And so this was his business model. He was a rapper slash drug dealer. What he used to do was that he would rap in songs and he would glorify using drugs so that he could sell them to people. You see how the business model
Yeah.
works? You see how the business model works? He would rap to impressionable people, to kids, to whatever. We're in the opioid epidemic. We're people are doing fentanyl, whatever. And he did it so that he could sell drugs. He pretty much promoted it so that he could sell it, right? And so, okay, well, Trent, why are you talking about that? Because I'm talking about it because, like I said, when people are stupid, do you choose to enlighten them or take advantage of them? He chose to take advantage. So now, there's there's a sad ending to the story. It's not an ending, but it's kind of a sad part to the story. Well, in order for you to like promote something, you have to use it. You ever been on YouTube? You're like, hey, I would like to take today's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legend. I play the game all the time. You have to use the product. You have to use the product.
Yeah.
So he started using drugs. It got so bad for him. I swear to God, I'm just telling you what this girl told me. It got so bad for him, he would have seizures. And I'm not talking about weed. He smokes weed, of course. Everybody smokes
Yeah.
weed. Weed's like coffee nowadays, but he would smoke weed. He was popping pills, all sorts of stuff. And it got so bad that he would have seizures without him.
Hmm.
And so Of course, like I said, everyone's dying from it. This is where he's at now. Just recently, him and this girl, they've had a kid. The kid's like 5 years old. Just just recently, he was drunk and high driving around. I think he was trying to get something to eat or something, and he smashes into a restaurant. His kid is in the back seat. It's a true story as far as I know. He gets out, takes off, leaves his kid in the back seat.
Wow.
And so the reason he does this is because number one, he has felonies, and so this is bad. That's a DUI.
Yeah.
Right. He's driving under the influence. He has drugs in the car. He has open containers of alcohol in the car. But wait, there's more. He has 16 DUIs.
What?
Sharon, I'm not lying to. Well, I'm
That's
telling you what's
crazy.
told to me. I'm telling you what's told to me.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I don't know how you can even still. So he didn't have his license wasn't valid.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know how he still can
he
even
doesn't have
obtain a
one.
license.
So this is how he took. This is why he took off. I'm just letting you know this is why he took off. He had what is it, 12 or 16 DUIs? Let's just say 12. Let's be conservative. He has 12 DUIs. I don't even know how he's free walking around. I guess you can bring that on politics too. You're not hard on crime, then you get stuff like this. And he smashes into a restaurant. He takes off, leaves his kid in the back seat. Police show up, of course. They're like, "What the hell?" This all happened in Arizona, by the way. And he comes back. He comes back to the car to get his drugs because he has a lot of fentanyl in his car. And that shit's expensive when you're distributing. Like, that's a lot of money. A lot of these drug dealers, they get it from someone and they have to pay that someone back.
Yeah.
Right? And so the police catch him, of course. And he goes back to jail, of course. And he's fighting a case again. But my point is, that was a crazy story. My point is, you have people like this. This is why you have Me Too movements that happen. This is why you have your Weinsteins and your Epsteins. They don't think like us. They don't think like us. These are business-minded people. Master and slave morality. We can sit and be like, "Oh, no, don't take advantage of people. That's wrong. What would your mom think? Have a heart." These people don't care about that.
They don't care.
That dude got into a car accident and left his son in the backseat. He used to rap and glorify drugs so he could sell it to your children. Do you think he cares?
They're programmed differently.
And so that's my whole point. I'm trying to tell you. I'm like, okay, well, the Kardashians, the Beyoncés, the Jay-Z's, the Jeff Bezoses, the you know.
Yeah.
They don't think like us.
Yeah.
That's for us. That's for us. We're supposed to stay in line while they get to maneuver and move because that keeps them rich. And
We're supposed to watch our carbon footprint while they have private jets, islands, house on island, boats. But we need to watch our private
Does that
carbon
sound
footprint.
familiar? Does that sound familiar to you? Someone who gets to live in a lap of luxury while you have to be a peasant?
It's definitely crazy. This is why I do admire Elon a lot. He sells Tesla electric cars, but then he tells everybody. He's told this to everybody, but like, hey, listen. One electric car is causing more, damage to the environment than your gas-powered car in your whole life. His words. He says we still need coal. He say I'm just making these. It was a challenge for me to come up with, this concept, and he succeeded, but he's also an honest person. And he sold all of his houses. He lives in his factory or with his mom sometime. He doesn't have a house.
Yeah.
Do admire him. But Trenton, it was a great talking to you today.
Hey, I appreciate you for having me on.
Yeah.
Before we go, the point I just made. Does it change your mind to know we are being taken advantage of at every step? When you go on the computer, you're being taken advantage of. When you go on your phone, you're being taken advantage of. So, what I'm asking you, Sharon Deep, I'm not asking for the right question or the right answer. I'm saying, knowing that we live in a dog-eat-dog world, where do you stand? Do you just try to sit up, like I said, slave or master morality?
Yeah.
Do you take the high ground and be like, hey, I wouldn't exploit anybody, so I'm a good person at the end of the day?
Yeah.
Or do you realize that life is all about competition? That's literally the whole point of evolution. That's how natural selection works. Not everybody has not everybody has the right the right traits. Some
Yeah,
traits are just born to lose. That's just how
I
evolution
agree.
works.
You
That's
know,
life. That's life on the planet,
I
right?
agree. Not everybody can be a leader. You
You,
know,
in order
if
for there to be a
everybody would
winner,
try to be a leader, it'll be a chaos. You need sheeps in the world to work for the world to work.
you're literally taking the words out of my mouth. And so, in order for there to be a winner, one must lose. So, my question again is to you, and I don't want you to tell me
Mm-hmm.
don't virtue signal. Let's talk about Sharon.
Yeah.
When we talk about how stupid people can be, when we talk about how you clearly know better and people just they take you for granted. They don't really
Yeah.
take your information. Do you still how do you look at it? Do you still think about helping people or like? And I hate to put it so black and white, but I'm just trying to get to the point. Or do you
Yeah.
just think about taking advantage and just getting money and getting rich like everyone else?
I think I don't think there's this one of those things where it's not a black or a white thing. You know, you brought up Nietzsche. I'm gonna bring up Marcus Aurelius. You know Marcus Aurelius? He's one of the Roman emperor, probably one of the best Roman emperors we ever seen or had. Um, he was one of the greatest leaders, right? In the Roman emperor, he had everything. He had everything you could ever possibly. He was rich, woman,
Right, right,
but he
right.
said no to every single thing. Every single thing he said no to. So the reason I'm bringing that up is he was kind. He was a good leader. He was competitive. He got to be where he wanted to be. You know, when you're in a competition, you're going to make a lot of people unhappy. You know, you're going to make decision that's going to benefit you because it's a game, it's a competition. You know, if you want to win, you're going to make a lot of people unhappy. You're going to defeat a lot of people and to in a lot of time take other people whatever good traits you have, you're going to use those traits in your advantage. So you're going to take advantage of other people in that sense,
This is my whole point,
you
and I hate
know?
to cut you off. I'm so sorry, but this is my point to you. People look at what I just said and they're like, "Well, he sounds really heartless." No, this is how
No,
life
this
works.
is
This
just
is how
how
life
life
works.
works.
In order for you to win, you have to make somebody else lose.
Yep,
It's just that
absolutely.
simple.
It's just how
And
everything it's on you. What do you want to be?
and so
You
that's why I
know?
pose a question to you. Some people like to say, like you said, and I respect it. If you think it's about black and white, if it's great, that works for you. If you like it, I love it. But at the end of the day, that's literally how life works.
That's
You
how
can sit
life
and be like, "Oh,
works.
I abstain. I don't want to take advantage of anybody." No, no. In order
Yeah.
for you to win, someone has to lose. This is how life works.
Yep. That's just how
And
life works.
people look at it like I'm being like a terrible person, or you could look at it however you want to look at it. Sharon Deep, I'm saying, you said it. I'm gonna let you get back to what you were. I'm gonna let you finish, but it's just a way of life, bro. Like, don't. And I feel weird saying this, but let's just be honest. As
It,
I sit here talking to you, there's somebody who's on the streets right now who has
yeah.
nothing to their name.
When when you're a lion in the pack of sheeps, everything you say will not make sense to the sheeps. You see what I'm
But
saying?
I'll let you finish and we'll wrap this up. Where do you fall with that? Do you feel okay with taking those steps and like being a businessman and like actually I hate to say it, but there's
Yeah.
this cut to the point. Actually, like taking advantage of people to get
I
something
think
close.
I think if you have a drive, if you have a vision in mind, right? And in that vision, you just want to go somewhere and be something. And in your journey, you know, like when okay, so me in order for me to walk outside right now to my bonfire, I'm going to kill a lot of bugs on my way. They're on the ground. In order for me to breathe, There are a lot of microorganisms that I'm killing every time I'm talking.
For every job, occupation that you took, someone just lost the opportunity to get that job.
Exactly. And God intended it this way because at one point somebody defeated you and you went through the struggle.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
You know, to succeed, you have to know struggle. You have to struggle. And at one point, somebody defeated you, and you got struggle. You became failure, and then you didn't stop. The people who stop are the ones who are sheep still, and they remain sheep rest of their life. The people who don't stop, that's why I talk about you. That I adore you a lot in that sense. That you don't let struggle bow you down. You just keep going. Then you one day become a successful king, whatever you choose to be. People have the freedom to do that, but not everybody does, because most people these days are bounded by the limitations that they set themselves. It kind of, again, I'm bring that sense thing a lot about victim mentality. When politicians tell you you're a victim, they're putting a blindfold in front of your eyes, right? Now you have that. Imagine telling like little kids, because I tell all these little kids, parents, it's sad to say, a lot of black families, they grew up in this victim mentality. They tell their kids, you're a victim. And now their kids are never going to grow out, be successful, because their whole life they were taught, oh, we're a victim of white people. We're a victim. They just grew up in this victim mentality. You have to take a step outside of that. Don't always take the road that's most taken. You gotta take the road that's less walked on if you want to be successful.
Yeah, there's no traffic. There's no traffic on the extra mile.
You know, so.
But you didn't answer my question. Are you okay with exploiting people? With everything you just said, and I hate to put it like that. I hate to put it like that.
If I would say, if that exploitation looks like struggle for other people, then yes. I think people need to see struggle. The fact we're in this crisis right now because not enough people see struggle in their life. We're in this comfort crisis. Back in the days, a lot of people saw a lot of struggle. I feel like humans suffer from this thing called amnesia. You know what I'm going with this?
No, but I like what you're doing.
We suffer from this thing called amnesia, right? Unless, because in the past stories of America or the world, a lot of world has seen a lot of struggle. But that struggle, unless you've experienced it's in hand, it's not really a struggle that you would take on if somebody's telling you that story. Because stories become myths. And myths just becomes memory. It's not a struggle you went through. And the same way I just talk about when people talk about oh, this happened in my family. Something happened to my great grandpa. This. It's not your struggle.
Yeah.
You know? But anyways.
No, to speak about struggle, it's something I struggle with. You didn't ask me this, but I'll answer it. I very much do have a hard time. I don't think I could be, this is not me virtual signaling. I don't think I could do, I don't think I could be a business person. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Why?
I don't deal in treatments. I deal in cures. I feel like if we have a problem, let's solve it. Let's not milk it and exploit it, right? That's just personally. It comes from the way that I was raised. And it kind of bothers me, and I'm going to keep it quick because I know we're trying to wrap this up. I want to tell you something, and this is something that bothers me every time I look in the mirror. This is real. I feel like I was raised to be a sheep. I was raised to fit, and I was raised to do it as I was told. 100%. Being the youngest kid, I always had to listen to somebody. I never could do anything. I always had to wait. And I want to tell you, like, what this is a YouTube thing. This isn't like a therapy session. I understand, but what that's built in me, like you said, you have to struggle in order. It helps you with your problem solving skills. Okay, there's a problem before me. Let me overcome. Let me figure out how to deal with it. Being a kid, being someone who always has to wait on older siblings and wait on mom and wait on you have built a man who waits. I don't go and do. I have to. It takes effort for me to go and. I'm so behind on so much in my life because I have became used to people solving my problems for me. And I see that every day I look in the mirror and it sucks. It's unfortunate, but it's just who I am. And I have been raised to be, I don't want to say, because we threw the word around a lot, of victim. It's not a victim, but I have been raised to be someone who just sits around and waits. I don't really do anything. I'm someone who just, I'm repeating myself, but I very much am a sheep. I'm a sheep, man. I don't partake in entertainment. I don't listen to rappers and stuff like that. But I very much am someone who is led. I'm not a leader. I was raised to be a follower. Is what I was trying to say. And I see that in myself, and it's so unfortunate. I hate it, but.
Do you want to change that?
So Sharon, think about what you just said. Let's look at what you just said. You know. And maybe you might not follow me on this, but you were born a man. Would you like to change that?
You can't.
Where am I going exactly? You can, but there is always going to be that part of you that's just that. Like you were born that. You were going to be that for the rest of your life. This is why certain people have addictions, have addictive personalities, and others don't. That is always going to be a part of you.
I would challenge. I know it's definitely is hard.
100%.
But I think that's something. I think that is something that people. It's like basically it's like deprogramming your whole life, then reprogramming you again. 100%. It's possible, but it's extremely difficult. Yeah. I agree.
I agree with you 100%. It's just like you said, you have to reprogram yourself.
Yeah. Well, listen.
Like I said, you will always be, if you were to transition, you will always be born a male. There's nothing you could do.
I agree. Deep down, like, you can reprogram and everything. Deep down, you'll still have a certain sense where you're, like, just following somebody. But Trenton, listen. I actually have to go somewhere. This has been amazing. I would love to do this every week. And we have our shared notes together. Anytime we see something, just put it on that shared notes. I would love to do this again and talk more. I love how same way we just talked about today. It'll be the same way. We'll talk about every single thing, plus more things. Plus we'll talk about some of the topics. I know we haven't talked about the debate. We can possibly do another one sometime next week and talk about that. Yeah. But it's been great. I'm so glad that you're part of this. I haven't had such a deep intellectual a conversation with anyone in a long time. Okay?
Thank you for having me, man. Seriously.
Absolutely. All right, man. Let's see ya.